Bombs fall after warnings are missed. Survivors die just steps from safety. These scenes didn't just show war, they shaped how an entire generation felt it. They changed storytelling forever. These emotional punches from the 70s war epics redefined cinema, and we're breaking them down. Starting with number 10, Midway, 1976. It doesn't start with action, it starts with noise. Radios crackle, voices drop in and out, and no one knows what's really happening. Then, silence. Another plane has stopped responding. You hear the officers go quiet. No one says it out loud, but you can feel the fear in the room. Now imagine you're sitting there, headphones on, waiting for your squadron to check in. Every second feels longer than the last. That silence? It's not peaceful. It's terrifying. Your friend might have just vanished mid-sentence. This one moment in Midway showed people in the 70s something different. War wasn't always about what you could see. Sometimes, the scariest part was not knowing, not hearing, not getting answers. And if that had your stomach in knots, wait till you reach number 3. It's calm on the outside, but what happens inside a single room changed the way an entire generation saw war. Number 9. The Eagle Has Landed, 1976. You expect a clear line between good guys and bad guys. That's how war movies usually work. But this scene flips it. A German soldier, dressed as a priest, saves a child from drowning. And just when you might think he might be different from the others, he's shot by Allied forces without warning. Now put yourself in that moment. You saw someone risk his life to save a child. Would you still pull the trigger? Would you still call him the enemy? This one scene didn't have explosions or gun battles, but it hits harder than any action sequence. It left viewers in the 70s asking, what if we've been seeing this all wrong? It forced people to sit with the idea that war isn't always black and white. And if you think that's uncomfortable, just wait until number 8. It gives you something beautiful to hold on to, then yanks it away. Speaking of number 8, that's what we're going on to next. A Bridge Too Far, 1977. Everything looks perfect at first. The sky is clear, music swells, and soldiers jump from planes with confidence. Thousands of white parachutes float through the air like a snowstorm. It feels like a victory is coming. But it's not. The plan fails. On the ground, the enemy is already waiting. As those parachutes drift down, you realize most of these soldiers won't even make it to the ground alive. It turns into a slow-motion disaster. If you're watching from the field below, would you wave them back? Would you try to stop the next wave from jumping? Because you know what's waiting for them, and you feel helpless. People in the 70s were used to war movies where plans worked out, but this scene made them see how even the best strategy could fall apart fast. And if that gave you goosebumps, number 7 brings you a scene with no fighting at all, just silence, and pain that doesn't go away. Coming Home, 1978. No one's running, no one's shooting, but this is one of the heaviest scenes on the list. In a small hospital room, a veteran tries to talk about what he's been through. He starts, then stops, tries again, then breaks down. He's not bleeding, but he's not okay. You watch him struggle to speak, and it hurts more than any battlefield. You realize he didn't just come home from the war, he brought it with him. You're not watching combat, you're watching the aftermath. People in the 70s weren't used to this side of war. They thought once soldiers made it home, the worst was over. But this scene made them feel how the war kept going inside the minds of those who returned. And the hardest part? This connects directly to what's coming at number 1. If this was about surviving, number 1 is about what happens when you never get the chance. But now we move on to number 6, Patton, 1970. It's not what you'd expect from a hero. General Patton walks into a field hospital. He sees a soldier crying, shaking, unable to speak, and instead of comforting him, he calls him weak, and then slaps him across the face. You can hear the room freeze. Everyone's thinking it. Did that just happen? This wasn't an enemy, this was one of his own. Someone who's been through enough already. Now, ask yourself, what would you do if you were that soldier? Would you speak up? Would you stay silent? Or would you start to question the man you once called a hero? The crowd in the 70s was split. Some cheered for Patton's toughness, others were shocked. Either way, that moment stuck. It showed that leaders can be powerful and still deeply flawed. And if that made your blood boil or your jaw drop, then wait until number 5. It's got a scene so human, even war seems to stop for a second. Number 5, The Deer Hunter, 1978. Everything slows down. Two American POWs are forced to play Russian roulette by their captors. One bullet, one trigger pull. You don't hear any dramatic music or fast cuts, just heavy breathing, a shaking hand, and a click that might be their last. Now picture yourself in that chair, gun in hand. Could you do it? Could you even lift your arm, knowing that you might not get another chance? This scene tore through people's nerves when it hit the theaters. It was raw, terrifying, and so still made audiences lean closer. Not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't look away. If your palms went sweaty just thinking about it, brace yourself. Number 2 isn't about what war does to your body. It's about what it steals from your mind and your memory. But first we move on to number 4, Tora, 1970. It starts with something so simple, it feels harmless. A radar operator notices something strange. A large group of planes coming in. He reports it, but no one listens. They think it's just American bombers arriving from California. But then, the bombs start falling. Now imagine you were the one who saw the warning and got ignored. Would you scream louder? Would you freeze? That delay, the disbelief, cost hundreds of lives, and the audience knew it was a real moment. Not fiction, it really happened. What hit people hardest in the 70s wasn't just the bombing, it was that awful feeling of being too late. This scene made viewers ask themselves, what if someone had just taken him seriously? And if that made your hearts race, number 3 brings something even scarier. It doesn't involve bombs, but just a woman, and a hallway, and a choice that haunts her forever. Number 3, Julia, 1977. A woman walks towards a checkpoint in Nazi Germany. She's pretending to be someone else. She has to stay calm, speak German perfectly, and hand over forged papers. One mistake, and she dies. You don't see a shootout. You don't need one. Every second at that checkpoint feels like a gun pointed at her back, and the closer she gets to the officer, the quieter the theater gets. Imagine being in her shoes. Your heartbeat is too loud. Your hands want to shake, but they can't. One wrong breath could blow your whole cover. Could you do it? What made the scene unforgettable was its silence. No big score, no bullets, just pure tension. And when it was over, audiences in the 70s were exhausted, just from watching her walk 10 steps. But this was just pressure. Number 2 is what happens when pressure never goes away. Number 2, Apocalypse Now, 1979. In one of Apocalypse Now's most haunting scenes, Colonel Kurtz delivers a quiet, eerie monologue deep in the jungle. He's not shouting or dramatic, just calmly sharing his view of war and human nature. His voice is steady, but his words are chilling, describing a kind of horror that's far beyond movies. Real horror, the kind that stays with you. What makes the scene unforgettable is how personal it feels. As Kurtz speaks, it's like he's talking directly to you. He sounds completely sane, which makes his madness even more disturbing. You don't agree with him, but you understand how he got there. That uncomfortable clarity, seeing the logic inside insanity, is what makes the scene so powerful. The monologue doesn't aim to shock with violence. It sinks into your mind with truth and tragedy. And just when you think that's as heavy as it gets, the final moment of the film shifts from darkness to something even more profound: the cost of light. 1. Das Boot, 1979. They finally make it. After everything, the storms, the depth charges, the battles, they limp into port. The crew steps on the dry land, tired but alive. There's relief in the air. You almost relax. And then without warning, planes dive from the sky. Bombs fall. The submarine, the crew, everything they fought to protect, it's gone in seconds. No warning, no buildup, just destruction. You think the worst is over, but war doesn't care about your timing. It doesn't hand out happy endings. If you were standing there, what would you do? Would you scream? Would you run? Or would you just stand still, unable to believe it? This one moment didn't just shock the people watching in 1979, it crushed them. Because after all that effort, after everything they survived, it ended anyways. And that's what stuck. That scene made a whole generation realize that war doesn't just take lives, it steals hope too. Which of these war epics left the biggest impact on you? Hit like and share if any scenes gave you the chills. And if gritty explosions and one-liner glories are your thing, don't miss my favorite depiction of 80 actions mayhem. And subscribe for more cinematic dives.